For about 11 years, I was in court 3 or 4 days a week, every week, as a public defender and a county solicitor. Most of those 11 years I spent in family court, where I was dealing with dependency and delinquency. This meant, especially as a public defender, we handled everything. There's no jury trials in the juvenile system. So these were non-jury proceedings, petition hearings that had to be represented in order to be sure that the state was meeting its burden before finding anybody guilty or adjudicated of anything. So that was that job. It was taxing. There's a lot of cases that would come through. Challenging to work with young people, juveniles, and trying to get a good result. As a solicitor, I represented the other part of the equation, which is where I was the moving party, trying to be sure that a child was getting the care, welfare, educational support, medical needs met at home. And that in itself could be a big issue to try and work through, and led to a lot of emotional, impactful discussions, hearings, testimony that would come up when you're trying to get to what is in the best interest of a child and how to hopefully improve their chances of success with their family and their future. I did also spend time working in orphans court, doing some mental health commitments, also probation, parole, and as a special education lawyer, where working with a firm, Rooter Law downtown, we work to be sure that kids have an IEP plan and a 504 plan that is well addressed to their disability or mental health needs, accommodations, things like that, with their home school district, which is always the goal. We want to keep them in their home school district, and occasionally we end up having to suggest a different school setting for that child to make sure that their education goals are being met. But the goal is to keep them at home as much as possible. Speaking of which, when it comes to alternative sentencing, keeping people at home, look, no doubt that wherever it's possible, you want to try to keep a person at home. So incarceration should always be a last resort. So you want to be sure that the plan that is created in the court, whether it's adult or family court, is well suited to the individual responsibilities of the case and the needs of those in it. And we know that if you end up pulling somebody in and out, which sometimes I've seen happen on the adult system a lot, where every week or 2 or 3 or a couple months, somebody's in, somebody's out of incarceration. Or when it comes to a child, where you're pulling someone out at all, the disruption that can happen can actually kind of set you back on the goals that you actually have on the case. You have to be very careful. So you want to really consider any alternative sentencing that can increase the chances of success at home. Mental health, substance use, disability access, that type of treatment, electronic monitoring could all make a difference.